The golden age of mail ships. The 19th century was the golden age for mail ships, a time when the world's oceans served as highways for the swift delivery of letters and goods. For centuries, sending mail across vast distances required ships that braved harsh weather and treacherous waters. During this period, the first regular transatlantic mail services were established, revolutionizing communication. This narrative is proudly brought to you by Polly Speaks For You. At Polly Speaks For You, we are committed to empowering individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, through innovative text-to-speech and voice recognition technology. Polly Speaks For You is more than just software. It's a tool for self-expression, connecting people with the world in meaningful ways. By blending the richness of history with cutting-edge technology, Polly Speaks For You demonstrates that every voice, whether preserving the past or shaping the future, has the potential to inspire. While we strive to make the story engaging, our primary focus is on storytelling itself. The visuals are secondary. We're showcasing the remarkable capabilities of text-to-speech software that bring these stories to life. Between Europe and the Americas. Diary entry, 1830, Liverpool. I stood on the pier this morning, the salty wind whipping at my coat as I watched the steam-powered vessel Great Western glide into the harbor. I've heard the rumors. The ship is going to reduce the time it takes to get letters to New York from weeks to mere days. I can hardly believe it. The days of sailing ships are behind us. This new vessel uses steam. What a marvel. In the early 1800s, steamships like the Great Western, which was launched in 1837, brought revolutionary changes to mail transport. Before steam, mail ships were dependent on the power of wind and sails, a slower and often unreliable method for transatlantic crossings. But the advent of steam engines allowed ships to travel at a much faster pace and with far more consistency, thus ensuring the regular and timely delivery of mail across the ocean. The British Royal Mail, a legacy. The British Royal Mail was one of the first to realize the potential of ships for postal services, establishing a regular packet service between Britain and the Americas in 1688. From this humble beginning, the British Empire became the first to create a global mail network, enabling communication between continents and bringing far-flung corners of the empire into a single web of correspondence. Newspaper report, London, 1862. The Royal Mail has announced the launch of a new transatlantic service for the delivery of letters and goods. The RMS Britannia, a grand steamship, will sail from Liverpool to New York on a weekly basis. At last, those in the colonies will no longer have to wait months to hear from loved ones in Britain. This new mail ship will make it faster than ever to share news, business, and even gossip from across the ocean. The British Royal Mail's packet ships were more than just ships. They were lifelines for British expatriates, traders, and diplomats across the world. The ships carried not only letters but also newspapers, parcels, and even gold. As the 19th century progressed, mail ships became increasingly sophisticated and integrated into the social fabric of life across the oceans. Transatlantic mail ships. Among the most iconic of mail ships were those that plied the transatlantic route, like the Great Western, the first steamship to operate regular transatlantic services. But these ships were more than just postal vessels. They were symbols of progress, powered by steam and cutting through the waves with newfound speed. Reminiscence, 1840s New York. I remember the first time I saw the Great Western arrive in New York Harbor. There had been a storm the night before, and the waters were still choppy, but there it was, cutting through the waves with such precision. It seemed impossible. This giant ship, powered by steam. The letters we had waited weeks for were finally in our hands. There's nothing like the excitement of opening an envelope from home. In addition to mail, passengers could board these steamships, heralding the beginning of transatlantic travel for ordinary people. While the passengers enjoyed the luxury of steam-powered travel, the mail held its own importance. The Great Western and its successors paved the way for later passenger liners, such as the famous Titanic, which carried mail alongside passengers, though it met its tragic end in 1912. Clipper ships, speed and efficiency. Before steamships, the fastest way to deliver mail across long distances was by using clipper ships. These sailing vessels, known for their sleek hulls and impressive speed, were designed to catch the wind with incredible efficiency. Ships like the Cutty Sark, though not primarily mail carriers, were famous for their speed and were often used to carry mail during the 19th century. Anecdote: 1860s, Canton, China. I have just received word that the Cutty Sark is leaving port today. I've heard it can cross the ocean to London in record time. The mail on board is vital. The tea trade depends on it. I'll be watching for the ship's arrival in the coming weeks, hoping to see the letters of business correspondence before the rest of the traders in town. Clipper ships were most useful for carrying high-priority mail, such as business correspondence or diplomatic dispatches. Their efficiency, particularly in routes to and from places like China, Australia, and India, made them a critical part of the international mail network during the early part of the 19th century. The decline of mail ships. The rise of air mail in the early 20th century slowly began to diminish the importance of mail ships. With airplanes able to cross the ocean in a fraction of the time, the need for ocean-going mail ships faded. The era of large steamships dedicated to mail transport became a thing of the past. Newspaper report, 1920, London. In what may be the last great chapter in the saga of ocean mail ships, the British Royal Mail has announced the cessation of regular mail routes on ships. Airplanes will now carry the weight of postal service across the Atlantic. It is an end of an era. The great ocean liners that once symbolized communication between continents will now focus solely on passenger travel, as the days of the mail ship come to a close. For many, this marked the end of an era of seafaring adventure and romance. Mail ships were no longer the vital arteries for communication. Air travel had taken their place. Yet for a time, these ships served as the very backbone of international correspondence and were as much symbols of progress as they were practical vessels of daily life. Reminiscence, 1930s New York. My father used to tell me stories about the ships that brought letters from Europe, the ones with names like Great Eastern and Olympic. He said there was nothing like waiting for those ships, watching them approach the harbor after a long voyage. Now, we get our letters in a matter of days by air, but it's not the same. I miss the excitement of watching the mail ships come in. Though mail ships have long since disappeared from the world stage, their legacy remains in the rapid communication systems we now take for granted. The age of mail ships was one of transition, of immense progress, and of deep human connection. The ships that once carried so much more than just letters. They carried the stories, hopes, and dreams of entire generations, have passed into history, but their memory remains woven into the fabric of our shared past. If you're enjoying this story, please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating content that educates and empowers. To learn more about South Africa's leading accessibility software and to support our dyslexic-friendly initiative, visit www.polispeaks4u.co.za. Drop a comment if you want more information. Thank you for watching this video.